Hello, Truth Transistors. I just wanted to share this. Somebody sent me a clip of a video game called Assassin's Creed, and I'm not really a gamer, but when I saw this clip, it blew my mind. So, just this short, we're going to see the short clip, and then there's another video I want to share with y'all that kind of gives an explanation of what I think this is all about. And then we'll look at the long version of this. And I'm going to go through it a little by little and do some commentary on it and what I think it means. Because, when I saw this short clip, I pretty much knew right away what it meant. So we're going to talk about it, but let's watch this short clip first.
Adam, I have it.
Eve,
Wow.
was that what I think it was?
We'll send the video out for analysis as soon as Desmond's done in the machine.
You okay?
He'd be able to explain the whole thing to us. If only we could ask him.
Okay, now, most people probably could figure out who Adam and Eve is based on. The Bible, Adam and Eve in Genesis. And they're running away from something, like they're scared, and then turns out they have this apple, right? Well, I think most people might, if you know the Bible, connect the dots there where Adam and Eve took the forbidden fruit and they're running away from God. But you'll see that the way this is presented, and if you, we're going to look at the big clip here later, but that this is presented as the opposite of what, it's almost like the villain is God, or they call it they call it something else, a plural thing, and that they got the forbidden fruit and they're running away, and they're going to describe that in the big video, but that we're going to see here in a little bit. But there's another video I want to show you first. This is actually by a guy named William Cooper. I created this video with, the pictures and stuff over the voice of Bill Cooper, explaining the belief system of the Illuminati. And I believe this is very important, and it's connected to what this video game is saying. So we're going to watch this first, and then we'll go back and watch the long version leading up to that Adam and Eve running away, and I'll give some commentary as we go. But here's this explanation of the belief system of the Illuminati first.
When I first saw the movie 2001, I was amazed, awed to say the least. The entire scope of the movie was overpowering, and for most of the people of the world was completely baffling. Most people who saw that movie did not understand from beginning to end what it was that they had experienced, but they knew, everyone who saw it, knew that they had experienced something profound. That something had been communicated to the dark, deep recesses of their mind, which they did not understand, and indeed, which they were incapable of understanding. For you see, the movie was not meant for the profane, as most of us are called, by the adepts or the initiates or the priests of the mystery schools. For that movie was a message to those initiates who were well versed in the symbology and the mystery religion of an ancient religion that is practiced to this day in secret. Now I'm going to tell you the meaning of the symbology that you saw in the movie 2001, and then each and every listener should go to their local video rental store and watch the movie again from beginning to end. For it is the story of the entire human race according to the history of the mystery religion of ancient Babylon. Now, most people that I knew attributed what happened to some extraterrestrial force, and they were receiving the exoteric interpretation, or that which is meant for the profane, those who are not illumined and cannot understand what it is they are seeing. But for the initiated, what they witnessed was the creation of the world by God and the impartation of knowledge to man, the forbidden knowledge, by Lucifer through his agent Satan. For in the religion of the mystery schools, they believed that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust and vindictive God, and that man was not told by this unjust and vindictive God that he could have the same powers. And man was set free from the bonds of ignorance by Lucifer through his agent Satan, and many believe that the two are the same, and that's okay because maybe they are. And that through the gift of intellect, man himself will become God. And then the story began of man's journey toward illumination. And everything in that movie was a symbol for something else. Now, the audience sitting, who are what the adepts or the initiates call profane, did not understand what they saw. They thought that it was really about a journey into space by an astronaut or a group of astronauts, and the bad things that happened to some of them, and one survived, and none of them understood the significance of the obelisks, the monoliths, one on the moon, one in orbit around Jupiter, and the ultimate transformation of the astronaut into a giant fetus floating in space. And to tell you the truth, when I first saw the movie, I didn't really understand it either, but I knew that there was something of such import there that I needed to know, that I never stopped studying until I found out. And of course, one discovery leads to another, and every time I answered a question, 100 more popped up, until I reached a point, dear listeners, where I realized that if I studied for the entire rest of my life, there's not enough time in my life to learn what it is that I need to know. But I have learned enough along the way to impart some of my knowledge to you, and maybe you can help me find the ultimate truth that all of us ultimately learn to look for. Although not all of us ever realize that we are looking, and most of us never even understand what it is that we are looking for, but some of us do understand that we are looking. The adepts or the initiates, the priesthood of the mystery school, believe that they have found it and that they know all of these things, and I'm not really sure that they do. But I know that many have been misled along this path and are worshiping the fallen angel that we know as Lucifer. Many believe that Lucifer and Satan are the same. Many people believe that they are totally different entities and that Satan is evil and Lucifer is not. But Lucifer rebelled against God, according to the Bible, and was expelled from heaven and flung to the earth to be the master of the material world, the master of the earth. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning star? Now notice, Lucifer was called the son of the morning star. He was also called the morning star, and there is a great mystery here, because Christ also called himself the morning star. Now how all that fits together, I do not know, but I have been told by those who have been initiated in the mystery schools that Christ and Lucifer are one and the same being. However, I cannot bring myself to believe that. What you believe, of course, is your own business, and is not my intention to make you believe anything, but rather to impart to you what I have learned over many, many years of study into the secrets of those who worship the ancient mystery religions in secret for thousands of years. And they are the ones who have been responsible, according to my research, for most of the scientific developments and the forward movement as far as material progress goes of the human race. For they were the learners. They were the ones who developed science. They were the ones who hid their developments and used their science and their knowledge and their secrets to govern others, usually not as kings, but as advisors and as priests, and in all actuality, the powers behind the thrones in ancient times and even today. They have ruled from the shadows, and they call themselves the guardians of the secrets of the ages. And their first religion was called astrotheology, or the worship of the heavens, and their first object of worship was the sun. The second object of worship was the moon. And everywhere you see the mystery schools or the mystery religion, you will see the symbols of the sun and the moon, also known as Osiris and Isis. Man's newfound intellect set him upon a quest that, according to those who say that they know, has never ended, even unto this day. And the modern day equivalent of this ancient mystery religion calls itself the Order of the Quest. And you will see it reflected in many of their outward exoteric branches, where they disseminate information to the public, or manipulate the public, or deceive the public, as the profane to them are nothing more than cattle to be herded and occasionally to be led to the slaughter. The message was that the new man will go into the future and the rest of us will perish. We will not be allowed into the future. If we are, it will be as slave labor until we are no longer useful, and then we will simply be exterminated. The message to the vast army of initiates in the mystery school was, we are on the threshold of the new age, and into this new age will march only one man. It is the new man. It is the illumined man. It is the man that is able to make the evolutionary jump to no more war, to no more rape, no more pillage, to the level in the mystery school known as 666. It is the number of a man. It is the illumined man to the mystery schools. To those of us who are Christians, it is the symbol, the mark of the beast, the indication that the Antichrist has arrived, and the beginning of the time predicted in the book of Revelation known as the tribulation. I do not advise you what you should believe or not believe, but I do advise you that we all need to learn as much as we can about everything that we can, because one thing I have learned in my life is that most of what we have ever been taught has been a lie. And that whoever these people are, and I know who they are, and I will impart that knowledge to you, who are the priests, the adepts, and the initiates in the mystery schools, they are in control, and they are shaping the future, and that future will affect all of us, so we had better learn as much about them as we can. You cannot identify an enemy unless you know the enemy, and you cannot fight a battle if you know nothing about the battle tactics of your opponent. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the origin, the history, the dogma, and the identity of the ancient mystery religions which are now known as the mystery schools, the Order of the Quest, Freemasonry, the ancient Order of the Rose and Cross, the Knights Templar, the Sovereign and Military Order of the Knights of Malta, the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Priory de Sion, the Thule Society, or sometimes known as the Thule Society, the Order, the Skull and Bones, the Russell Trust, the Jason Society, the Scroll and Key, the Illuminati, and I could go on and on and on and on. But the most important thing to realize is that they all have been collectively known throughout the ages as the mystery schools, the Illuminati, which literally means illumined ones, international socialism, communism. They are all one and the same, as you will come to know. And you will understand perfectly how they've been able to infiltrate all of our society. What you hear tonight does not necessarily reflect my views or beliefs or religion. We have to begin in the beginning with every story and every history. And we have to begin at the beginning of mankind. And the beginning is the beginning according to the mystery religion. And they believe wholeheartedly that man is a product of evolution, not of an extraterrestrial race, and not of the creation of some benevolent God.
All right, so you notice what he said there. He said that the Illuminati believes that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust and vindictive God until Lucifer, through his agent Satan, wanted to free mankind with intellect, knowledge, so that we too might become as gods. I believe this summarizes well what the Illuminati believes and what they're all about. And anybody who studied the Illuminati and understands how they control the entertainment industry, and they've seen a lot of symbology in them, this doesn't come as a surprise. And it includes video games. You know, they created video games too. And I'm not a big gamer, but I know they control this, and I've seen other aspects of them using subliminal messaging and even revealing some things. And when somebody sent me this clip, I was like, whoa, I need to do more searching on this. So then I found this longer clip that we're going to watch, and I'm going to start it, and every once in a while I'll pause for commentary. So let's start this one, and every once in a while I'll come in and give my 2 cents.
Now, listen.
Do you hear me, Cypher? Can you see me? Ah, there you are. Good. A strange place, this nexus of time. I am not used to the calculations. That has always been Minerva's domain. I see you still have many questions. Who were we? What became of us? What do we desire of you? You will have your answers. Only listen, and I will tell you how. Both before the end and after, we sought to save the world. We built vaults within which to work, each dedicated to a different method of salvation.
I think it's interesting that he says different method of salvation here. According to the Bible, there's one way of salvation, but they're talking about the sun, I guess, destroying the planet. And if you go further into the Mystery Babylon series by William Cooper, he talks about how they believe the origins of their religion was sun worship. So anyway, I think it's interesting that they believe the sun is, they're talking about the sun destroying the earth, and perhaps their view, or it's a metaphor for the God of the Bible, that he wants to destroy mankind, right? As we heard before. So anyway, let's continue.
In the beginning, when we thought we could be saved, we sought to face the sun's wrath and contain it. 4 towers would be built to pull her fury into this place and dispel it. But even with all we knew, with all we had, it would take too long. 1,000 years we could labor and still the work would not be done. The first tower was never completed. The project abandoned. We moved on. But while we labored on other endeavors, a few returned. They thought to automate the process. Metal might finish what flesh could not.
I kind of wonder if they're referring to the Tower of Babel here, some unfinished tower that was abandoned, right? Anyway, just an interesting thought, because that, in a sense, is the beginning of Mystery Babylon, the Tower of Babel.
If we could not meet the sun's cruel embrace, perhaps we might rebuke it. Already we could generate the fields to protect us in times of strife. But these were small and simple things. To replicate them on a scale the size of a world, we lack the energy to make it so. Half the world, they said then. It is better than none at all. We tried. Again, we failed. A quarter, they asked. Even this we could not do. A sixth, an eighth, a tenth, they cried. The answer was still the same. Perhaps in time a city might be spared. But it was time we did not have. So we moved on.
Revelation 18, verse 10. Now this is in the context of Mystery Babylon, actually, in Revelation 18. But in Revelation 18 it says, "They will stand far off in fear of her torment and say, Alas, alas, you great city, you mighty city, Babylon, for in a single hour your judgment has come."
Approached, one that was dark and cold. It would consume us, for we were flesh, and flesh is frail. Though suits and shields might offer comfort, such adornments would not suffice, not to save us all. So we sought to change what we were. In this manner, we might thrive in a world made poisonous. It was Aita who volunteered to see if it might be done. Aita, my husband, my love. In the end, it changed him, ruined him. He was made a prisoner of the machines. The body might survive, but his mind became brittle to the touch. He begged me for release, for days, for weeks, for months. I pleaded with him to give us time to find another way. But there wasn't one. Not for him. Not for us. What is consciousness but a series of electrical impulses? And the body a vessel to hold these sparks. But it is weak. In time, it decays and crumbles into dust. We asked ourselves then, what if it might be replaced with something stronger, something better? So we forged a new vessel, one that might endure. It proved easy enough to enter. But to leave required something more, something wrong. And so this too they abandoned. I wondered, though, were they right to turn away? What is a fact? Is it fixed? Immutable? Certain in its existence and only awaiting discovery? Or might it be changed? Here we learned the answer, and thought that it might save us. They were used to command, to control, to own. But we soon discovered another use. When enough sat in thrall and were told to believe, their thoughts took on form. What was imagined became real. If 100 minds could wish away a wall or create a tree, what might 1,000 do? 10,000? More? Might we change the consensus and will the thread away? We resolved to send one into the sky where it might illuminate us all. Once placed, a sentence would be uttered. Make us safe. In this way, we would change the consensus. We would save the world.
Quite a bit in there. You saw that apple again, and she was talking about how man was controlled and enslaved through this apple, like they were, under this, this tyranny, right? And like we saw in the video earlier of Mystery Babylon, they believe that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust and vindictive God. In fact, they call this place Eden in the video that we're watching. And then she talks about how there's a better way, and how people can be illumined and to save, find a safe place through illumination, right? I mean, just that Adam and Eve clip, I pretty much picked up what they were saying, but this is like getting right into it. They're like explaining the Luciferian doctrine, the Mystery Babylon, the Illuminati belief system.
But it never came to be. We sent a dozen of them skyward, but there was no way to maintain control, to direct the beam, to enthrall the world, to speak the words. Though this was strange and dangerous, what we tried next was worse. Our first instinct was to travel back, to change the past. But we could not find a way. But forward, we could look forward. And so here we sought to see beyond ourselves and know what was to come. First we wanted to learn if our work would succeed. But the answer was always the same. So we moved on to other things. But she remained. The one you call Minerva. In time, she too stopped looking, and instead began to speak. She called out across time, in the hopes that you might be saved. She hid messages where none might find them, save for you and those within this place.
Fascinating. They were placed underground to avoid the war which raged above, and also as a precaution should we fail in our efforts. Each vault's knowledge was transmitted to a single place. Minervas and Junos, to sort and sample all that was collected. We chose those solutions which held the most promise and devoted ourselves to testing their merits. 6 we tried in succession, each more encouraging than the last, but none worked. And then the world ended.
So, if you think of the sun, at least I think this is what they're trying to portray as a metaphor for the God of the Bible, the evil, vindictive God of the Bible that wanted to hold mankind in ignorance, enslaved in the Garden of Eden, right? And that he's going to destroy the earth and destroy mankind. And they want to try and figure out a way to save the earth from this. But I find it interesting that in Revelation 20, starting in verse 7, it says, "And when the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations that are in the 4 corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle. Their number is like the sand of the sea, and they marched up over the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, but fire came down from heaven and consumed them, and the devil who was pierced from them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever." So it is actually fire that comes down from heaven when these kingdoms of the world gather and attack God and Jesus and his people. So how fitting is it that they're using the sun in this video?
The earth shook for days, the fires burned for weeks, and when the ash had settled, less than 10,000 of your kind still lived, and far fewer of ours. But we carried on, together, to rebuild, to renew. Listen, you must go there, to the place where we labored and lost. Take my words. Pass them from your head into your hands. That is how you will open the way. But be warned, much still remains in flux, and I do not know how things will end, either in my time or yours.
have it.
Eve.
So we come back to Adam and Eve, which seems to come out of the blue, but I think that they believe that there's like sort of a reincarnation of the earth, sort of a rebirth of everything at the end of this destruction, so to speak. And like they said, only a few people survive it and everything. Obviously that's not biblical, but that's probably what they believe. And I know that, for example, they want to reduce the population, like they believe in population control, and that's kind of, I don't know if they're going to be the ones to destroy the population, or if they just believe that a destruction will come along. And only the illumined ones can go to the next, to the next thing. So this is what they believe. Can go to the next world, I guess you could say, that after this one's destroyed and then it kind of is reborn. It's only the illumined ones are the ones that progress to become like gods in their belief system. And there was another video connected to this game that talked about that apple more, and throughout history how man, Eve stole it from whatever they call them. It's not God. It's this group of people that were, or pre-human, whatever they were. They were like controlling people, and Eve stole it. And then it says that throughout the history of mankind, those who got their hands on this apple were the ones in control. So it went through this history and talked about Egypt and talked about the Romans and Hitler and the Freemasons. And it was like, okay, this is what the Illuminati believes historically. Like it's amazing. Now there's probably a lot more to this game that I don't even know about. I just saw some of these video clips and thought I would comment on this. And so if anybody knows more about this game, and that might relate to what I'm saying, maybe there's more elements of the game that confirm what I'm saying. I would love to hear it in the comments below. And so tell me what you think about my thoughts on this, because I think it's really one of the many examples of the powers that be, the Illuminati, using their symbols and their belief system and putting it through entertainment. All right, thank you all and have a wonderful day.